Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. When you consider vintage automobiles, you probably picture the beauty of the past and the excitement of restoration. However, for the stars of pursuing vintage automobiles, that enthusiasm, why expensive and uncommon cars got up generating far more than just a little oil hands that are discolored. From business errors to expensive errors, this is a tale that demonstrates that even the most thrilling pastimes can have detrimental effects. Buckle up. The journey is going to be difficult. Wayne Carini's exploration into the realm of Portland is where vintage vehicles first appeared. In the early 1950s, Connecticut, his Bob Carini's father owned a crash vehicle repair and restoration company that would eventually influence Wayne's whole life path. Since his very first recollections, Wayne devoted numerous hours to in his father's store, learning regarding vehicles that would be extremely useful in his future profession. The unique scent-off motor oil and paint turned into known to him as the aroma of home, with the sound of tools and engine created the background music throughout his early years. Before he even got to the pedals, Wayne gained knowledge of different automobile components and comprehend how they work, an ability that would help him in his upcoming undertakings. The family Carini was more than just a repair business, purchase. It was an area where auto history came to life. Carini, Bob focused on repairing high-profile automobiles, including uncommon European sports vehicles that not many other mechanics were willing to make contact. Young Wayne would frequently discover himself with Ferraris all around him, Packards and further unusual devices that the majority of kids only saw in magazines. This early encounter with extraordinary cars aided in the development of his perceptive sight and admiration for car workmanship. When he was little, Wayne showed a natural ability to comprehend mechanical systems. However, his interests went beyond outside the garage. He had aspirations. It extended in several ways. At first, wishing to pursue architecture, the concept of creating structures and designing captivating space his creative mind. However, the possibility of finally attending college for 7 years discouraged him from taking this route. Rather, he shifted his scholarly interests towards Central Connecticut's Art Education State University, thinking he was capable of blend his artistic intuition with a career as a teacher. The years spent in college proved beneficial, but not in the manner Wayne had anticipated. His artwork, his training in schooling sharpened his eye for color and detail, abilities that would later prove to be quite important in their restoration company. He became aware of form, composition, and aesthetics equilibrium and principles that translate surprisingly well for car designers, well as repair projects. These creative later, his senses would distinguish him. In the world of vintage automobiles, where the distinction between a quality repair and an outstanding ones are frequently found in the subtle information. After receiving his art degree, Wayne's education degree exposed him to the harsh truth of a competitive work market in instructing. This situation brought him back, visiting his dad's store, a trip back that would turn out to be fatal. Collaborating with Wayne, his father once more rekindled his enthusiasm for cars, especially the vintage types that had always filled the family business. This era of his life functioned as an unofficial apprenticeship in which he honed his abilities in repair and created an eye for spotting expensive cars. The father-son relationship at the store established a special educational setting. Bob Carini has a reputation for a meticulous approach to repair work, a quality he was able to impart to Wayne. They collaborated on many noteworthy initiatives, such as American sports cars and rare European vehicles classics. Wayne learned from these experiences not only the technical elements of restoration, as well as the significance of conserving the history of automobiles. Bob imparted to his kid the idea that every vehicle has a history that should be preserved, conviction that would be essential to Wayne's subsequent work in television. As Wayne's knowledge increased along with his standing in the world of vintage automobiles, he started going to vehicle auctions and demonstrates, progressively creating a network of relationships that would be really helpful in his upcoming undertakings. His capacity to identify potential in abandoned cars and his acute awareness of market values distinguished him from other professionals in the field. He became particularly skilled at negotiation, consistently keeping a kind demeanor that won him the confidence of both purchasers and vendors. High's increasing recognition resulted in requests to judge at high-profile auto exhibitions and consult regarding major restoration initiatives. The change from restoration expert for television personality was a surprise. The creators of the eventual Chasing Wayne was found by classic cars through his increasing standing as a collector automobile circuit. They acknowledged that his sincere enthusiasm for cars paired with his innate communication skills, complex facts presented in an understandable manner would make him a perfect program host regarding vintage automobiles. Wayne's genuine passion and extensive knowledge offered the ideal framework for a program that would both inform and amuse visitors regarding the realm of classic cars. The idea of the show was in line ideally with Wayne's regular tasks, concentrating on the search for uncommon and expensive vehicles, restoring them, and final sale. But the truth of television production introduced novel difficulties. The necessity of elucidating intricate mechanical procedures to a broad audience demanded that Wayne create a distinct set of abilities. He discovered to deconstruct technical data into parts that are easily digested while preserving his genuine passion for the topic's issue. His innate capacity for instruction, refined throughout his courses in schooling, proved to be quite helpful in this new position. The show ran behind the scenes, with a degree of intricacy that audiences never observed. Every episode needed to be carefully arranging and coordinating with Wayne's real-world business activities and the timetable for production. The study team put forth a lot of effort to deliver background data about the featured automobiles. Despite Wayne's since he was knowledgeable, he rarely needed prompting. The popularity of the show was based on the capacity to strike a balance between entertainment value with instructional materials, never drama, at the expense of accuracy. Production teams frequently had to adjust swiftly to the erratic character of scenarios involving car searching and auctions, preserving genuine moments as they unfolded. One feature that makes chasing unlike other automobiles, classic cars, showed that the detective was the main emphasis. The effort required to locate rare automobiles. Wayne gained notoriety for his capacity to locate treasures related to automobiles in strange locations. His contacts developed over many years in the industry, frequently gave directions to buried treasures, hidden in garages, barns, and private nationwide collections. These episodes of Barn Find become popular, demonstrating the excitement of exploration and the potential worth concealed in forgotten automobiles. The program also emphasized the intricate authentication procedure and appraisal. Wayne's proficiency in recognizing authentic vintage vehicles and identifying alterations or duplicates turned into a useful teaching component of the program. The audience was made aware of the little elements that could make their distinction between a typical old automobile as well as a priceless collectible. This paying attention to authenticity was beneficial, preserved the show's reputation among sincere collectors, while instructing casual viewers with the complexities of the market for vintage automobiles. One of Wayne's greatest bargains on the show, one transaction is notable for being especially amazing. He bought a rare vintage vehicle for $30,000 and, using his knowledge of time of the market and repair, controlled to sell it for a staggering $500,000. This amazing comeback showed not only his proficiency in finding gems that are underappreciated, but moreover, his profound comprehension of the dynamics of the collector automobile market. The episode became a popular favorite and shown the possibility of significant profits in vintage automobiles investments under the direction of a professional understanding. The performance drew a large number of famous visitors who shared Wayne's enthusiasm for the history of automobiles. Maybe J stood out among them all. Leno made 2 appearances on Chasing Vintage Automobiles. Lowe, well known for his huge collection of automobiles and mechanical knowledge, brought his trait excitement for the performance. In the course of one, he and Wayne made an unforgettable appearance. British Motor Corporation bus from 1963 for a round-the-block drive. As this may appear to be a straightforward incident, it emphasized the program's gratitude for all types of vintage automobiles, not only premium or high-end sports vehicles cars. The difference between Lowe's own program, Wayne's show, Jay Leno's Garage, frequently displayed their various methods for automotive amusement. As Wayne concentrated on the historical and preservation elements of vintage automobiles, Lowe's display occasionally dabbled in more dramatic territory. This was especially clear in a show where Lowe took part in a stunt with 80-year-old Bob Wiggle expert stunt driver, renowned for his wheel-standing performances. The ass part of the planned prank, a car was driven on its back wheels, a tactic WLE mastered over his extensive career. As the first stunt went according to plan, so what? What happened next was spectacular and surprising. When making a sudden right turn, the car lost control and repeatedly flipped, putting together an unforgettable moment for both participants and viewers. During the course of the series, Wayne his dedication to moral business procedures. Even in the days before cameras rolling, his method of purchasing and selling was true to his days before television, emphasizing equitable agreements and open transactions. This integrity kept him trustworthiness of the collector vehicle community, where standing is important, vital part of achievement. Tales started to spread the word about Wayne's readiness to share his knowledge and assist other collectors. Understanding, even in the absence of personal benefit. The program recorded a number of noteworthy discoveries and repairs, but possibly, more crucially, it caught the human, the backstories of these mechanical treasures. Wayne displayed specific being sensitive when interacting with merchants who were emotionally invested in their automobiles, frequently taking time to recognize the significance and history of every automobile to its owner. This feature of the program struck a chord with people who realized that vintage vehicles frequently symbolize more than just transportation or chances for investment. Numerous episodes included heartwarming scenes where relatives exchanged recollections related to their automobiles, including a profound emotional aspect of the program, possessing everything. Considering this, we must ask what really went awry. The conclusion of the chase, many admirers of classic cars were left with inquiries about the reasons for their favorite programs ceased to air. The most significant modification, that when viewers took notice, Roger Barr, the show's adored mechanism, all of a sudden ceased to show up in episodes. Numerous people think that his exit was the primary cause of the show's cancellation, yet this was never formally verified by the producing team or network. Rogers. The narrative ended up being very depressing. He suffered severe injuries while working at Wayne's F40 dealership. The harm was severe, sufficient to require surgery. And then, Roger had a very difficult time performing his regular work in the shop. What caused things to even worse, despite being on television, Roger still had to go to work every day in order to settle his debts. Many fans were taken aback by this, who believed that appearing on a well-known TV program would give enough cash to sustain oneself. Roger's condition became even more difficult when folks first started posing queries on social media. One on Facebook, a fan inquired if Wayne had assisted Roger in paying his medical bills following the injury. Rather than a distinct response, the individual in charge of Roger's social media profile stated that they will discuss this delicate subject later. Many viewers were left wondering by this reaction if there were any potential issues between Roger and Wayne, who had collaborated so many years together. Bar Roger had been among the highlights of the performance for a large audience. His amusing remarks regarding the vehicles Wayne purchased, individuals' laugh, and his extensive understanding of mechanics made it easier for spectators to comprehend what made every vehicle unique. When his health issues began to make his life difficult to appear on screen, the program lost a crucial component that made it function so okay. When programs abruptly conclude, the star hardly ever provide the entire reason. This was followed by chasing vintage automobiles, pattern. As fans attempted to determine what transpired, they began pointing to Wayne Carini's financial and legal difficulties as potential causes. The primary issue occurred in June 2020, when a man with the name Wayne's was taken by William Robert Richmond, F40 Restoration Company, to court over a Pierce Arrow Coupe, 1934. The magistrate, Carini, who was in charge of the investigation, termed it regrettable, and everyone involved had made an effort to act morally. However, the harm to the shows, the damage to reputation was already done. Wayne never discussed the legal case in public, but online users had a lot of theories regarding what took place. In the interim, the show's truth was revealed. Similar to many other television reality programs, chasing classic cars weren't as authentic as they appeared. Frequently, the producers would switch items to create better episodes. It is typical in television, but disappointing a few loyal supporters. The program featured additional issues as well. Another significant problem that emerged regarding the show's treatment of vehicles with issues. When Wayne's group purchased a vehicle that revealed significant problems, it wouldn't be broadcast on television, due to their desire to maintain the show's favorable reputation. However, rather than being utterly truthful regarding these vehicles' issues, they occasionally sold them at auctions without informing purchasers of every problem. This started a cycle, when purchasers may be unaware of what they were genuinely growing. Additionally, the show received reprimand for not being explicit about the car costs. When a guest appeared on the show to purchase a vehicle from Wayne's group, they would frequently be taken aback by additional costs after accepting the cost. These unexpected costs frustrated a lot of purchasers, although everything appeared flawless thanks to the show, demonstrating pleased clients receiving the reality of fantasy automobiles at reasonable pricing was that buyers frequently spent a lot more, unlike what they saw on television. This resulted in some admirers to question whether Wayne Carini was exploiting clients. They observed that the show hardly ever told viewers the ultimate selling prices of automobiles, which led people to believe the producers may be concealing something, but a lot of individuals that had collaborated with Wayne defended him by claiming that he was constantly truthful in his commercial interactions. Although nobody ever publicly stated exactly why the show ended appears to be obvious. Because each of these problems contributed to its last days. Following the pursuit of vintage vehicles runs came to an end. Both Wayne Carini and Roger Barr's paths have diverged in life. Even so, automobiles continue to be central of their actions. Wayne Carini hasn't slowed down since the end of the show. 3 years ago, the episode aired. He goes on to manage F40 Motorsports, his accomplishments automobile dealership located in Portland, Connecticut, where he remains loyal to his love for locating and repairing vintage automobiles. The company has prospered under his direction, and his repair efforts have garnered him a number of important honors in the community of vintage cars. Wayne has additionally extended his influence in the automobile industry by providing his proficiency in serving as a consultant to other collectors. Whether they're simply beginning their collection or trying to purchase and sell pricey vehicles, Wayne's understanding aids in navigating the intricate world of vintage cars. His commercial endeavors have expanded beyond merely selling automobiles. Now, Wayne represents a number of renowned businesses in the automobile sector, such as Car, Metrovac, and Craftsman Tools Capsule. These collaborations demonstrate that his reputation for excellence and knowledge stays resilient even after departing TV. Possibly the most thrilling for Wayne's latest podcast, Classic, has his admirers. Car Talk, in which he collaborates with Jay Ward, who was the imaginative and technical director of the adored Pixar film movies about cars. They share tales and observations regarding vintage vehicles, maintaining Wayne's connection with auto enthusiasts around the globe. His relationship with automobiles is much more profound than most people are aware. Prior to becoming a recognizable face when pursuing vintage vehicles in the United States, Roger worked as a mechanic, the United States Air Force, honing his abilities when assigned to Germany. His ability was so amazing behind the wheel that he was even employed as a stand-in driver for the factory sports car team of Porsche when he wasn't in the armed forces. Following, Roger went home and opened his own Glastonbury, Connecticut garage, focusing on foreign automobiles, but he notably declined to do any French work. Automobiles, as indicated by the amusing sign that said, "No French cars," at his store, permitted. He spent his weekends racing automobiles, and he wanted to demonstrate his abilities, national titles in both Formula B and as well as Formula 5 races. This combination of expertise in mechanics and his skill to drive made him genuinely unique in the field of automobiles. Admirers of the show adored Roger for much than only his remarkable history, but for his direct and occasionally grumpy character. He never feigned to be. He was a self-centered person, a major factor in why viewers found it entertaining pursuing vintage automobiles. It was all made possible by this. The more worrisome when viewers observed, the frequency of his appearances is decreasing. Health has improved in recent years. Difficulties for Roger. However, what caught me off guard? Numerous admirers discovered that in spite of Roger's sole source of income is his fame on TV, resulted from his employment as a mechanic at the purchase. This disclosure resulted in fans establishing a GoFundMe page to assist pay for his medical bills. Now, Roger is already than 80 years old and still labor in the store, albeit at a lower pace while he heals from his operations. His initial knee replacement was a huge success.